Hey, what's up guys, Alex here. Thank you for checking this video and welcome to another bug fix episode of the series of tutorial on how to build a premium theme for WordPress. Welcome again. In the previous lesson, I created this fantastic method to handle the archive page in just one single file by creating the file archive.php and then extending our Ajax pagination to handle different options, to handle categories, tags, and author search. So for example, if we click on a category name, we're gonna go in the page of our address /category/live because it's the category that I clicked. So when we scroll down and we load more, the script is gonna recognize that we are in the section category and it's gonna create this pagination that is gonna maintain that it's maintaining category/live/page 2, page 3, and so on, so on. So the system works, but a couple of you guys wrote me a bunch of comments where this method is creating some issues in some really particular case. So the most common cases that this method could create problems are, first, if your website is installed in a multi-site environment. So if you have a multi-site environment, you won't have a situation like your full URL address, then /category or /tag. You're gonna have other stuff like maybe slash and a subfolder, or slash the name of the sub-site or the multi of the secondary site, or even if you have WordPress installed in a secondary folder, like in a subfolder. And this method is also creating problem if you have the installation, if you're dealing the installation inside the local host of Windows, where you cannot create in a super easy way like on Mac or Linux fake URL. Like in my case, I created local.sunset.com. If you have localhost / whatever, this localhost is gonna get replaced because the PHP script that we're using to select this URL is not recognizing that localhost is your actual base URL and cannot maintain that. So let's take care of this issue and let's fix everything through PHP, of course, because we can fix everything. The good thing about coding and the good thing about not only WordPress and not only PHP, but pretty much every scripting language is that if you have a problem, you just analyze the problem, you find what's wrong, and then you find a solution, because everything can be solved by code. And sometimes in the worst case scenario, you have to rewrite everything from scratch because your method doesn't work, but everything can be fixed. So do not be afraid, it's gonna be awesome. Let's access our ajax.php file where we have our script to handle all this kind of stuff. So everything we have to do basically is inside here. We have to manage these archive option in a better way in order to maintain the structure of our page. And before doing that though, we have to access the archive.php because we want to extend the information that we send to our scripting file. So here in the both buttons of load previews, a lot more, we are sending this data-archive that is carrying our request URI. And as I said in the previous lesson, the request URI is the last trailing part of your URL. So you have your website URL / and this is the request URI, what's after the first slash. So we have to solve the problem of handling a local host or a multi-site, because what we care about is just this category or tag or author. So in order to do that, because we cannot manage that many variables, the easiest way is to grab the entire URL. So we can avoid 100%, we will be sure 100% that we won't rewrite the URL structure completely because we are passing the actual URL. And to do that, we have to do a bunch of if statements of calculation. So let's start by modifying the load more button that is the most common one. So the data archive, we have to print a couple of different things, and I'm gonna show you why I cannot print directly the entire URL here. We still have to use the $server, but we have to print also the previous part, that is the HTTP part where our website starts. So let's do that by for now, for example, just here, let's use echo again, and then let's use $_server, and inside the square brackets, let's put the request to the server to print the HTTP referrer, too many R, referrer. Perfect. That's a really complicated word for me, maybe all capital. So R-E-F-E-R-E-R. The referrer, HTTP referrer. Okay, and semicolon at the end. Let's save it. Let's go back in our front end. Let's refresh. Let's check the URL. Let's check the inspect element of this button. In here, as you notice now, the data archive, it's full. We have HTTP column / localhost. We have everything. We have also an unwanted slash, like we have the / more. So we have to remove that and merge completely with this portion of code, merging completely also the HTTP request and have the full URL. So let's take care of it by creating a small section, a small function in PHP that maybe later we can move in our functions file. So let's open the PHP tags here before, and let's create a variable called archive_URL, and then it's gonna be equal to basically these two scripts together, of course, without the echo, connected to each other. But of course, this one has the issue of having an extra / So we can handle both, or we handle the first / or the latest /. Let's do the latest / to remove the last character, the last whatever character we want that it's inside this string. We have to use a PHP function called rtrim, that it's gonna remove the trailing, the right character that we're gonna specify in the second attribute. So the first attribute has to be the actual string, in our case the HTTP referrer. The second attribute is gonna be the /. So we wanna remove this, then we wanna connect this to string with a dot, and then we're gonna put the usual semicolon at the end, and now we can echo here the full archive URL. So we maintain just one echo space $archive URL. Let's save it. Let's go back in our front end. Let's check if we did something wrong. And here now we have our full URL. So now we could potentially use this one to handle everything and to replace the entire URL with Ajax. And because we're passing to Ajax the HTTP, Ajax is not gonna apply this entire string after the last slash. Is gonna replace these entire strings, gonna replace everything because we have HTTP. There's a problem though. The script that we use, the server request that we use, HTTP referrer, is not always available to the user agent. Sometimes the owner of the server, or if you have an hosting provider that is really picky about security, they could potentially or give you the ability to edit this HTTP referrer, or they could deactivate. So if a script requests this portion of code, it's gonna have in return an empty string. So sometimes this stuff can be not defined, and this is really annoying. In order to do that, we can use another server request that doesn't carry the HTTP part, but we can add it together. And to do that, we can do a simple if statement. So let's create another variable called referrer, this word, and it's gonna be equal to, let's create an inline statement, and now we know exactly what it is. So if this is set, so if we have the server HTTP referrer is question mark, the first result I want it to be this. So let's cut it from here. So if the HTTP referrer is set, we're gonna use it, and we're gonna remove with the function rtrim the /. Otherwise, if it's not defined, we're gonna manually write HTTP : / and here we're gonna connect another server request that in this case is the simple HTTP host. So we write the same $_server, and inside here we have to write HTTP host. And the host basically is your URL address, that in this case, in my case, is local.sunset.com, but without the HTTP part. And that part, the HTTP host, is defined by default from user agent, is defined by default in the server, and you can grab it. You could have potentially some issue if you are using the website on a secure, on a safety HTTP connection. So if this is HTTPS. So also in this case, we have to check, we have to find out if we are on a safe connection or not. And to do that, we have to use again another $_server request to check if we have an HTTPS declaration. So let's do that by creating another variable called $HTTP that is going to be equal to another inline statement. And the inline statement is again is set, so we're gonna check if is set $_server, and inside the square brackets and double quotes we're gonna declare the HTTPS. So we're saying to the script, if the HTTPS is set, let's use question mark, we're gonna use this HTTPS column // otherwise we're gonna use a simple HTTP column / connection. And now we can replace these $HTTP variable to this portion here that we manually wrote. So finally, now we have the archive URL that it's pretty safe. Let's remove this connection dot that we don't need it. It's pretty safe, and it's gonna grab our entire URL starting from HTTP or HTTPS until the end. And we have this entire archive URL. Let's save it. Let's go back in our front end. Let's check if we broke something. Yes, we broke something. Archive on line 57. So I wrote something wrong probably. Archive URL, it's equal to $server request URI. Of course, this is not true because this is equal to referrer connected to the server, and here I forgot the almighty semicolon at the end. So you see what happens when you don't put a damn semicolon. Yeah, this is fun time. So anyway, the archive URL has to connect, of course, in the referrer that has the HTTP inside and as the host or the actual referrer, plus the request URL that is the final part of our URL. Let's save it, let's go back here, refresh, now it's working. Let's check our source code, our almighty button, and we have the standard, the usual situation here. This code, this archive URL variable is dynamically updated depending on your settings, depending on your server settings. So with this, we are pretty safe and we're pretty good to assuming that our WordPress theme is gonna work pretty much in every situation. We can clean up this code by creating an inline function that we're gonna use right away. So let's access our inc. Let's use a theme support file because this is theme support option, and let's use a function called, create some space, function sunset underscore grab underscore current underscore URI. Open and close the brackets, curly brackets, and here we have to basically print this entire code. So let's cut it from here, Command X. Let's remove this PHP script. Let's paste it here. Let's remove the extra space, and now we can simply return our $archive underscore URL. Save it. And now let's grab this function and let's just simply print and echo this function instead of the actual variable that we don't have anymore. Let's save it. Let's go back in our front end. Let's refresh, check the source code. Nothing changed because of course the function, we just transfer all the PHP code inside a function. This is a way better method. You notice that I always do that. I always avoid to do PHP calculation or PHP function and scripting iterations inside the actual HTML file or the PHP, but inside the actual HTML structure. I always try to keep everything separated and use just a simple inline function. It's way easier to maintain, to manage, and to update for the future. So let's keep using this method and you're gonna be good to go for the future. So let's save this. It's totally fine now. We have to update also the load previous. So we can do exactly the same. Just grab this function. Let's go back here and let's update the sunset, the data archive of the load previous. Let's save it here. And now also the load previous is updated. So now let's go inside the ajax.php, because now we're passing this archive that is actually, it doesn't work anymore. It's full of our entire URL, and we can still do what we're doing here. So we can still maintain archive val and explode the archive based on slash, because our URL, it's gonna be always separated, all the elements separated by a slash. So let's explode this. But now we have to identify where our category, tag, or author are, and where those relative names like the category name or the tag name or the author name are. And to do that, we cannot use anymore the 2 or 1. We cannot actually know the key number of where those things are, because right now these things are in 1, this should be 2nd position or 3rd, and this is 4th. But if we have another 3 slash, like for example slash my site, and then it's slash category slash 5, this is location 5 and this is location 6. So it's not static. We cannot rely on a static number. We have to find it, we have to search it, and to do that, of course, we have to use a really simple but really powerful PHP script. So let's go back here. Let's actually remove this stuff. Okay, perfect. Let's go back in our code editor, and here, instead of writing this stuff, let's comment everything. And this is a quick advice: when you're updating a code that previously was working, always comment. You can always delete it at the end when everything works, but never delete something that it works and you did and was good. Always maintain as a comment, so you can always grab it. Maybe you can avoid to rewrite the same thing multiple times. But anyway, now we have this arcval variable that is an exploded array. So we have all these value from arcval 0, 1, 2, 3 that has inside our entire URL exploded by this / character. So now we have to find the needle in the haystack. First, we have to search for the category, if the category exists. So let's do an if statement, and inside here we can use the script in_array, and in the array we can specify the first value has to be the string, the value that we want to find in a specific array. In our case, the first value is category, because we want to start with category, and the second attribute has to be the actual array, and our array is arcval, of course. So here, if this is true, we're gonna detect what key number, what key value, where this category location is, and we're gonna check the next value that is gonna actually be the name of the category that we are interested into. So now we have to define 2 variables. The first variable is the type that we already defined in the previous lesson, and we're gonna use to handle the new arguments to extend the WP query. So let's redefine again the type without now doing any statement or any check for the archive val, because we know we are in the category section. So the type is going to be equal to category name, that is the unique identifier of the WP query array. And then we have to define the value. The value is what's inside the what's after the category, because the category now it's inside this array, but it's in a specific position that probably is like location 2, location 3, or something like that. In order to retrieve whatever value we need for the category, so category / updates or live, whatever, we have to identify the position number, the key number of this category value. To do that, we have to define another variable called cur key, maybe as a current key. You can name this variable as you wish, and we can use another PHP script to identify the current key of this specific unique identifier. This function is called array_keys, and here we have to, keys, multiple, and here we have to define two variables, two attributes. The first one is the actual array, so in our case is argval, and the second attribute is the identifier that we have to search, in which location we have to search. And this car key is gonna be a number, and it's gonna be the number of the location of our category. So let's do that for now. Let's just print simply the car key. Save it. Let's go back in our front end. Let's refresh. Let's scroll down. Probably we're gonna have a PHP error because we interrupted something. Yeah, it's good. So array to string conversion is not possible because we're printing, of course. Sorry, guys. So we have to print this instead of echo. We have to use var dump to print the actual array because this is an array. So let's print this. Refresh, load more, and now we have the array of one element in location 0 that is going to be equal to 3. So we have a numeric value that is actually the location of our category, because if we analyze our entire URL, http://localsunset.com/category, we're gonna have http that is location 0, location 1 that is in between the two slash, and then location 2 is sunset, localsunset.com, and then location 3 is category. So now we know that category is in location 3. We have to check the location 4 where our actual value is, and let's do that. First of all, let's retrieve the actual value here, that is gonna be current key square bracket 0 because it's the only single value that we have. So this current key 0 is gonna be equal to 3. We have to assign this to a value, to a number. So let's define another variable called next key because it's the next key that we're interested into, and this one is going to be equal to current key plus plus to add this. This is 3, the result, and it's gonna be 4. So now the value is gonna be equal to live, and to access the value live, we have to access the array archive value, square bracket, and inside here, we want the next key. And let's echo the value and check if we did something wrong. Let's access here, let's go back up, refresh, scroll down, load more, our usual PHP error, we have still category, so it's not adding. Let's do add +1, scroll back here, refresh, load more. And now we have live. Okay, plus doesn't work, +1, we have to manually add a 1. So now, just to quickly recap what we did, we check first if in our array of our entire URL, there's the name, there's the value category. If there's the value category, we assign the type to category name because that's how the arguments of the WP query works. Then we retrieve the current key, so where this category, in which location, in which key location is. In our case, it's in location 3. And we have to now retrieve what's after this category, because category is the type, the key, and then we need the value that is the next number. So we are adding the value of the category after grabbing it with our array keys +1. So this was 3, +1 is 4, and in our URL at the 4 position we have live. So now we have type and value, and we can use this $arguments stuff that is going to be equal type, and here instead of this weird array, let's just print value, and let's remove the echo value to avoid problems. Here we have to do another thing with the page trail. We were using the page trail to update dynamically the URL. Now we can basically use the entire archive if is defined. So let's do this by if the page trail, let's leave it like that, but here let's write another variable outside the if statement, because the page trail, if you have the archive, it's going to be pretty much always the same. So page trail, it's equal archive connection single quotes / semicolon. And now we have our page trail that is going to be our entire full URL / page / the number of the page that we're navigating. And now it should work, hopefully. Let's take a look. Let's refresh our page here, category live. Let's load more. We are retrieving the post of the category live. If we scroll down, we have page live. We have an extra trail because our entire scripting is retrieving also the / so we don't have to add the / if we don't need to. Let's go back here, refresh again, perfect. Let's load more. It's loading all the posts connected to live and we can check this. And now we have the proper URL, local.sunset.com /category /live /page2. We keep scrolling down, load more, and it works. Page 3, load more, and no more posts to load. Let's refresh page 3 and check if load previews works. So let's load previews. We have previous post, we scroll and we have this issue. Basically now, because we are passing this entire URL, we have also page 3 / page 2, because of course our page trail is this one, is this entire stuff. So we have to check again if we have this problem, and actually we can do something nice. So let's do a simple explode to detect this stuff. So let's check again if in our value in our archive, there's something in the array that we exploded with the slashes. So let's check if again in array is present the word page in the arc_val array, we can do something. We can manage these archive URL. And if we have page, it means that we are in a secondary page or we are already in a pagination environment. So we have to remove the page stuff, and we can use the same stuff explode here. And let's do that. Of course, let's change these into another variable that is going to be, for example, page val, or you can name it as whatever you want. And now to explode this stuff, instead of exploding with a /, we are going to explode this by the page value. So our entire URL that is composed by local.sunset.com /category /live /page /3 is going to be exploded in two parts. The first part, that it's what we need, and the second part is the number of page, that is page 3. But we don't need that. We need just the first portion, and in this case is $page tray underscore trail. It's gonna be equal to the variable page val in location 0. Otherwise, else we're gonna have the page trail that is gonna be identical to the archive. So we're checking again inside the array. If we have a page declaration, we have to explode our initial URL, the full URL, by the word page. So we're gonna have the first portion of our explosion that is going to contain the entire URL without the pagination stuff, without page /3/4, whatever. If we don't have these, we can safely return this entire archive URL inside the page trail. So now should work, hopefully. Let's go back here. Let's remove this stuff. Let's refresh page 3. We're on page 3. The URL doesn't get updated. It's working. Let's load previews. It's loading previous stuff. We scroll down, page 2, see how it works nicely, and it works also if we load again. We are page 3 again, load more. We reach the bottom, we don't have anything more. Let's load previews again, and we are on page 1. And of course, if we refresh, as usual, WordPress is pretty smart that removes automatically page 1. And now it's working. So let's do a double check. If we are on page 2, let's refresh page 2. No, now we can load more, or we can load previews. Let's first do the load more. Load more is not interfering with page 3. The page 2 we have here. Load previews is not interfering with page 1, that it's loading perfectly. Let's resolve this issue of not having the final / that WordPress really likes by simply adding it here at the end. And this is gonna solve everything. Let's save it. Now we have to do the same for tags and author, but for tags and author is way easier. So now, because everything works, we are pretty safe to remove our comment of the first section. Here, let's maintain this part as the bottom because we are checking to update the page trail. So let's maintain these and let's write a comment to specify check page trail and remove page value, just as an indication for a developer. Here we could potentially write check if category if we want to be like super accurate, super precise, but it's actually pretty clear. Let's leave a little bit of more space and another developer will know that here we are checking if we have a category in this archival. So let's check again. Let's completely copy this part and let's check if in array we have tag, the type is gonna be tag, and the array case is gonna be archival. It's gonna be equal to tag, and then the next is gonna be that one. Let's duplicate it again, and here we have the array author, and then we can put type author and archival author. So this method here with this three if statement is kind of forced. We could optimize this stuff by creating one single if statement, and we can check if in array 1, 2, or 3, and then use just one value, whatever value is inside. But I don't want to do that. Not because I don't want to, but I want you to do that. So if you can, if you have the time and you want to spend a little bit of time to try to optimize the code, try to remove these three separated if statement and compact and manage and merge everything together in one single if statement. And if it's working, I'm going to implement these in my code, and I'm gonna give you a shout out during the next video. I'm gonna tell everyone that you're smarter than me, and probably you really are, because I'm not that smart. But anyway, this is a task for you for before the next lesson. So if you can merge these three if statements in just one and optimize the code, it's gonna be really awesome. So I'm lazy, I don't want to do it, so you're gonna do it for me. This sounds great, right? Okay, save it. Let's check if our code works. So let's select a tag somewhere. We have the test tag. Do we have something in the test tag? I don't remember. Okay, load more. And we don't have anything in the test tag. That's perfect. I picked the only tag where I didn't add anything. So I think the sunset tag works. Oh, we didn't check the homepage, of course. We edited all this stuff, but because the homepage, the load more and previous don't have the load more and previous buttons of the homepage don't have the data archive declared, they have 0. All this stuff that we're doing is not affecting at all the index page. So that's why we can easily keep going and having our standard page, page 2, page 3, and so on, so on. So we're not replacing the entire URL. Here we have a nice tag called sunset. That is the one that I used the other day. So scroll down, tag sunset, load more. We should have tag sunset. No, page 2 gets replaced. Why? Here we have to do a little bit of update to our script. So basically what's happening is because we are selecting the tag from page 2 of a previous page, like we are scrolling down, we're page 2, page 3, and we select the tag, the HTTP referrer of the server carries the previous URL because the user agent of the browser is passing to our script our full URL plus the /page/2, and we don't really want that if we are accessing a new section. So we have to update a little bit our sunset grab current URL, and unfortunately we have to remove completely the HTTP refer. It's not a bad thing, it's not like a huge issue because this sometimes is defined, it sometimes is not. We are already checking if it's defined, so we could usually potentially, and that's what we're gonna do, we're gonna use just simply the HTTP host, and the HTTP host is the current one, the actual host that we are visualizing. So we're not gonna carry the page 2 or page 3 of the previous referrer of the HTTP. And with this, we solved our issue. So let's go back here. Let's go back on page 2, for example. Here, let's refresh. We are new homepage, sunset, page 2. Let's click sunset. We are on tag/sunset. So if we inspect this, load more, we have the data archive that is correct. Let's load more, and now it's grabbing tag sunset /page/2, and all these posts, they have tag sunset. We don't have more posts tag sunset. Let's load page 2. We're on page 2 of our tag archive page. Let's load previews, and we have the post before, and it's page 1. That's perfect. Let's do the same with another. Actually, let's check again. So let's scroll down from the index. Let's go, for example, on page 3, and let's double check that our script works. So we have tag sunset. Let's load more, and it's tag sunset page 2. Perfect. This is great. Let's go back here and let's write author/admin. That is the only author that I have. Scroll down, load more, author/admin, page 2, majestic. Page 2, refresh, load previews, and page 1. Sweet. Okay, it's working, and that's it. Let me know, of course, if it works, and thank you so much for flagging this issue. I always love when someone else does a little bit of debugging and point me to a section that maybe I didn't consider or something. So I'm learning while I'm doing tutorials, and this is amazing. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you so much for being so precise and accurate. So it's pretty much it for today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel. And if you want, you can spend a couple of minutes on the support me page, where you can find all different methods and ways to support me, support my channel, and help me to do better videos and better tutorials for you. Thank you again, guys, and until the next lesson, as usual, happy coding!